He's intrigued by that woman, but he's got to raise that arousal. So what men are taught in our culture, you're intrigued by the woman, dating, go and get her and you go and fuck her. That's what you're doing with your sexual energy. You get to go and dispel it into her, because that's what you want. You want her, as opposed to raising that sexual energy up through your core into your heart. So now your heart is open to the situation, then up to your head.
Hey, I'm Jen, host of the Open Bedroom podcast, where you'll find topics of sex, dating, relationships, non-monogamy, and more. I'm glad you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Open Bedroom podcast. Our guest today is Melissa Louise, and she's going to look very familiar to most of you because she is the #1 episode, not only of this entire last year, but of all time. And she was on episode 190, Still Fucking Like You're 16. This particular episode, if you have not listened to it, I'm going to link it below, made men wild. We had so many comments and so many DMs. I was sending them to Melissa Louise like crazy. I'm like, oh my gosh, can you answer this? Can you answer this? Oh my gosh, look what this guy just said about you. And what men were saying is, this is the first time, Jen, that you've ever done an episode for me. Like, I really felt like this was for me, and it's so beautiful. So we appreciate you listening, and we are doing a part 2 here. So we're going to take this conversation of, hey, are you still fucking like you're 16, and take it to the next level with kind of this part 2 conversation. It's going to cover 3 parts. Part 1, how men weaken themselves by constant ejaculation. 2, as a couple, if you need more money, working together, working harder is not the answer. More sex is, which, hey, I'm hell yes to that. And then why sexual currency is so important in a relationship. Bam, bam, bam. Melissa Louise, will you give us just a few minutes of who you are? Why are you here? Why are you the expert to talk to us and to men about this? And we'll jump in.
Oh, I love this question. Why am I the expert? And I've actually just started sharing more and more of my story of where it came from because, it's a little bit edgy. But years ago, my God, I've got to think back how much son. So around 26, 27 years ago, when I lived in Sydney, and I was, I was actually married to a beautiful young Argentinian man, and we had an incredible sex life. He lasted a long time. All of this, I was a masseuse. I was doing all of these things, studying little parts of tantra. But we lived in a shared house, and this young girl, New Zealand girl, she kept telling us that that she worked cleaning offices at night, and she'd come home often at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., quite tipsy, a little bit high, all of those things, but always looked like she was having a great time. I'm like, oh my God, maybe I should start cleaning offices. Anyway, one day we're driving because I had a van. I used to travel all the time and live in my van and all of those things, good old hippie. And so we went up to the Blue Mountains, and on this drive, she's like, hey, Melissa, I actually want to tell you what I do at night. I went, no, you have, like, you clean offices. And she's like, well, no, I actually work at the Penthouse down on Pitt and George Street in the middle of Sydney. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, 2 girls in a van. I'm just like, yo, we've got a long drive. So she was sharing me, and she was the quintessential girl next door type scenario that the guys are coming in, and she was telling she would do half hour or 45-minute sessions like consistently. And I'm like, why only half hour? Like, why is it so like, and this sounds exhausting, and like I'm trying to get my head around it. She goes, yeah, well, they come in and they ejaculate and then they leave. I'm like, oh honey, like he's having sex for 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Like, how about I teach you? I said, with this work, like this is all over big, long conversations. It's not just, boom, this is how it happened. But I shared with her, it's like, like my lover, my partner, my husband is like, it lasts for hours. How? And I said, well, you move the energy up through their body. You can do this through touch. You get them to breathe. I said, but you can just do it without them really, you don't have to teach them tantra. And she's like, huh? So, and that was another thing. She was getting massages from me weekly. And I'm like, how can you afford this? Like, we're all hippies in a shared house. How can you afford to get a massage from me every week? We can hardly get groceries, all of that stuff. So then on the massage table, I, showed her all of these strokes, what to do, like up her belly and all of this stuff from breathing. So she goes to work, and her sessions, an hour, 2 hours. So everything shifted. She was making more money because she was in the room longer and she didn't have to work as hard. So the owners brought her in thinking she was selling drugs. Because it's like your whole, the way you're working has shifted so quickly. And she's like, oh, no, 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 my housemate is what they're called in Australia. My housemate has taught me how to massage a man so he lasts longer. And they said, get her in. So next minute, I'm this little,
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
teaching these girls that there was a lot of girls that didn't approach because like, who's this girl? Like I'm this little hippie walking going, I'm going to teach you how to treat men. And they're like, but the girls that did come, and God, I was nervous as shit. And I was just like, what am I doing this back, got to see the back end, literally, the back room. And that's kind of where, and those girls did, it changed. They made a lot more money. And also too, but what started to happen was, of course, when a man is longer with a woman, like my flatmate was telling me how like now men were telling her things about their lives, how they're opening up to her. And so she's just like going from this where there was never a conversation to men sharing their heart with her. And that's also as I got longer into, deeper into tantra and stuff, understanding all of this. So that's where, holding space for men. And if I can do it in in the escort place, like without even, just like, that's kind of where it all started. But then also my journey went further and further on and deeper into tantra, deeper into Daoist, all of that stuff, and the rest is history. But that's where it started, from the very physical aspect of teaching women how to get men to last longer.
Have you always kind of focused on men? Has that been like your heart for all these years? And I have a few women that are in the podcast space that are like this, where they're just like, I have such a passion and a heart for men, and they're so misunderstood, and they want to do such good in the world, and that this is my mission. So I'm curious if this is your mission.
It's such a beautiful question. I worked with men because I used to be a tomboy, so I knew how to be with men. I knew how to hang out with them. I knew how to talk with them. I'm comfortable. I was shit scared of women. The sisterhood, couldn't trust the sisterhood. So there was that part that I've had to do some really, really deep work. Now I have the most incredible women in my life because of the work that I've done. But at the beginning, even back then, it was like, yeah, I was always hanging out with the guys. So to work with men felt comfortable. Also, I wasn't that comfortable in my body. So I'm like, well, how do I was intimidated and scared of women, also of men, but I knew how to handle them in a way because I was a tomboy. So that was easy for me on the outskirts, on looking in, not in my own head. So, excuse me. So, and also too, because myself included, we weren't having great sex. And I wasn't gay. Like I was so heterosexual. And I remember younger just going, like, this is redunculous. Like, it's like, and so then it was kind of like going into the beast type thing. It was like, well, not that I'm here to like teach. I mean, well, I guess I do. I teach men how to have much more nourishing, deeper sex and sexual experiences and sexuality. But it was kind of like, well, I've got to go into it. If I want to be having better sex, I also need to understand how the male body works and all of that stuff. So it was kind of two train tracks of how working with men, it was by default because I didn't trust women. And then as I healed more, so I started working with women about 10 years ago.
Awesome.
And that was huge medicine for me.
I'm sure. You're like, can I trust you? I don't know. We're going to figure this out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about men and masturbation and ejaculation and pleasure and lasting longer and all of that fun subject. Tell me about it.
So and I was on a call actually last night for an hour and a half with like 44 men. I love all these numbers speaking about sex and sexual energy. And men, just as we women know that we're raised in a society and a culture that keeps so much information from us, well, it's the same thing for men. Like their sexual energy is so powerful, yet they are taught to treat their sexual energy, but also their ejaculate like a fucking waste product. Just shove it in a condom, shove it in a tissue, like wash your hands and let it go down the sink. That arousal means ejaculation. We've got this thing that needs to happen. There needs to be a result, which if we think of chaos, I hadn't actually described it this way before. It's all just landing. If you think of it, the feminine energy is chaos, there's the wild feminine, the wild chaos, and men have feminine energy inside of them. And so to have freedom, the biggest, the most deepest in the deepest core of a man is he's seeking freedom. So freedom of the chaos. So then we have arousal, sexual energy. We've got to get like just ejaculate so we can calm down. Ejaculate so I can get, so I can go to sleep, or the anger can subside, or the border, So this chaos, the chaos of the feminine energy of arousal. And so we are taught, what we is in right now in our culture, that you get rid of it, ejaculate. Sex means that. If you're going to wank off, if you're going to wank, or you're going to jerk off, like we're going to get it off, we're going to get rid of it. And yet the power lies for a man is raising his energy, his arousal, his power up into his body and up into his brain, like where the neurotransmitters literally go into his hypothalamus. And so the weakness that men are served in our cultural narrative is to keep it down, like, we keep it in the genitals and get it out. So this is a constant depletion of his, in Chinese medicine, they call it qi, jing, everything. The ejaculate is the building block to human life. Mm-hmm. So the ejaculate holds the building blocks to create life. When it meets, when the ejaculate, the sperm meets the egg, the igniting of human life starting. So when a man is aroused, every time he's aroused to life, his body starts building the block for life. Oh, I've never described it like this either. This is so much fun. I'm so poetic at the moment. So his arousal is how is he turned on to life? Like when a man thinks of arousal, it's not always just about a sexual partner, or I want to fuck her, or I want to be with her, or him, like whatever the flavor is. It's also where you turned on to life, where are you moving towards in life? So this arousal begins the body to create the cocktail that is going to end up being the building block for human life. So your body uses a lot of energy, and within that cocktail is a lot. There's the neurotransmitters, there's the hormones, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. There's collagen. There is zinc, copper, vitamin B, all of this stuff that your body has to produce. You're not drinking a smoothie and getting an erection and the smoothie going in and going out. Your body's creating the smoothie.
Yeah.
It's a great image. And then you just release it. I mean, there's a lot of power. And yet that power can be used in your heart, in your brain. It builds so much strength. The depletion of hormones that's consistently being depleted. We've come to accept and expect the decline in age for men and women. I mean, you go to ancient cultures. I lived in Peru. I was just speaking about this on another interview this morning. Like I lived up in the mountains behind Cusco, even outside of the village. And so where, it was the road that I would get up on to walk into town with my kid. Different tribes would come down and through on different days of the week. You have women and men beyond 90 years of age walking, carrying sacks of product. In our culture, people don't even get to 90 very often anymore. Our decline and our weakness is like, oh, it's the aging process. No, it's the depletion that we've expected to accept. And so one way, there's many ways, the way that we sit all the time, all of the shit chemicals in our food, and the fact that, most people drink water that's not even water anymore, like all of the decline. Like we have to look at the constant decline, the constant assault. And one assault and one decline is constant ejaculation. Because in the Daoist culture, I can't actually remember the formula anymore. I used to have it down pat, but I haven't actually said it out loud for so many years, which is interesting. But in the Daoist culture, they have a formula of like, of course, in your 20s, every time you get aroused, you're going to ejaculate. By the time you're in your 30s, it's like a certain amount, maybe every second day, every third day. By the time you're in your 40s, maybe it's once a week. So I am making this number up right now, but there is a formula, only because I can't remember the exact formula. Then you get to your 50s.
That's
and
pretty right.
Right. Does it? Yeah. I mean, your 50s, like once every fortnight, so once every 2 weeks. By the
Mhm.
time you're in your 60s or 70s, one of those, you stop ejaculating because you keep on bringing it. You keep it in your body. You keep that. It doesn't mean you stop masturbating. It does not mean you stop fucking. It just means you stop depleting your body of the juice. So pornography every single day, movies of it just keeps like it's a waste product. It's a waste. It's number one, it's either if we think about this, it's dangerous or a waste product. It could get someone pregnant, shove it in a condom. It's not at all talked about as liquid fucking gold, penis Prozac, all of these things. There used to be poetry. Oh my God, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send you all of this poetry so you can put it in your show notes. There's
Okay.
poetry from the 17th hundred, like 1700, the 17th hundreds, poetry that speak about the glory of the man's ejaculate and his seed. Poets would write poetry around ejaculate. We now have pornography and violence.
Yeah. Now we just throw it in the garbage can. Oh my God, this is awful. Well, it's
Mhm.
interesting that you're talking a bit about, culturally what's happening. So I was actually, you mentioned New Zealand. I was actually in New Zealand last week for about 10 days. I was in there for work. And one thing that I noticed was it is completely non-sexual over there. Like nothing is sexualized. People are not walking around turned on. Like I had so many interactions with men and like like no one flirted with me at all. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, is it me? Is it something else? And then I had several women that I had different meetings throughout the day. And sometimes people would talk about it and they'd be like, yeah, have you noticed that like men over here, they just got dating apps and it's really hard for men to figure out like how to use these dating apps and how to flirt and how to date. And I was like, I don't understand what's happening. But when I come home, I told my husband, I'm like, it's really weird. I've been here for 10 days and I've masturbated like 2 times. Normally, I would be like super horny and I'd be sending videos and like we would be constantly connecting sexually. And there was like nothing. I was just tired and I was just kind of like
Mhm.
meh the whole time. But then I come
Mhm.
home and I'm not saying it's better to live in a sexualized culture, but I come home and like immediately feel plugged into him and feel sexual again. And I'm super horny all the time. And everywhere I go, like people look and
Mhm.
it's on a
Mhm.
billboard and it's like in my phone. And so
Mhm.
I don't know if you have anything to say about anything that I just said other
Well,
than like
it's
helpful or
interesting.
not.
Yeah, just remembering my experience in the culture of Australia because it's so, it's a very damp, dry, actually damp and dry, very dry type culture. And so when sex comes up, it's like, isn't it? It's laughed at, and it's like it's vilified and laughed at, and then we won't go into it. That's kind of it's many reasons why I left Australia. And I remember
Okay.
one of them being is because it was like, coming to Central South America. It's like, oh my God, I feel like a woman in Central South America. I feel like I can relax. I can feel like, I'm appreciated for just being a woman walking down the street, which
Yes,
does,
I could see that.
does not happen in Australia. And so Australia and New Zealand are very close connected. And so then of
Yeah,
course,
or even
where does it?
Italy, like they are so like, oh, they're ciao bella, like they're so
Hmm.
love
Hmm.
women. Okay,
Hmm.
so this
Yeah.
is more of like a cultural thing that is not everywhere, and just these specific places are
Hmm.
somehow turned off.
Very
Okay,
turned off.
because as
Yeah.
you're talking and you're talking about life force and men and like your whole body is moving and like you're so embodied, I'm like, how do you not live like that all the time? In fact, like it's interesting to visit a culture that is so non-sexual, yet they have children and they're like really into family, but no one's talking about sex. And if they do, it's like, yeah, we do it once a year and we sort of accidentally had a kid.
Well, and that's also to the amount of joking that happens within that culture. And, oh, well, we must have had sex 3 times, didn't we? Because we've got 3 kids.
Isn't
I'm
that
like,
sad?
how can you fucking well say that out loud and think that's funny? A woman has said yes to you. She's gone in debt with you. She's basically lost her life for you. Like no career, no this, no nothing. She's having to, because I'm coming from the farm culture. She's got to live on the land. She's got to work the land. She's got to clean the fucker. She said yes to all of these shitty parts of life. Do you know what she would be doing without, not in the marriage?
having a good
with all of
time.
her other girlfriends not in the marriage, living a fucking amazing, vibrant life. But she's chosen to be here and you get to joke about it. I mean, it takes two to tango. It's not all on the man. It's like the women, it's very, very sexually repressed. And, that can be said about anything, what I just said. But it's, I think that's when we get into sexual currency, that's a huge part of that. It's like we have to really question and we need to be radically responsible for the culture we create in our own relationship if we wanted to be having more sex. And this whole aliveness, and we can look at this with the past few centuries, 400-500 centuries, where one way to control a culture and one way to bring them into where they're looking towards something else to make money, where they're looking towards something else to belong, is to remove the sexuality, which you need to remove the power of the feminine because of the inspiration that we are, and because women are designed to alchemize life through sex, through orgasm, through their womb. And the man holds the most exquisite, incredible pillar of fucking strength for that. So first of all, you take the power away from the women and you vilify them for being female. And then you take the power away from the men, which is you don't teach them about this, so they have no knowledge about their sexual health and their sexuality. And so then that gets shoved into this corner of shame, which then creates a culture of violence. And we're not here to pretend that that doesn't happen in our culture. We have for our modern existence, we are so highly violent and sick. And it begins with removing sexual energy because of the power of it. So now if we say sexual energy, people are thinking P and V and we're having sex. Sexual energy is your aliveness. As I started before, what is a man's turn on? A man's map of arousal is his cock and then his heart and then his head, whereas we're the opposite, our head, heart, then pussy. So what is he aroused towards? Okay, he's he's intrigued by that woman, but he's got to raise that arousal. So what men are taught in our culture, you're intrigued by the woman, dating, go and get her and go and fuck her. That's what you're doing with your sexual energy. You get to go and dispel it into her, because that's what you want. You want her. As opposed to raising that sexual energy up through your core into your heart. So now your heart is open to the situation, then up to your head. So now how are you going to make her feel safe? How are you going to entice her? What are you going to create? And even though you are turned on by her, how are you going to use your turn on? When I work with couples that are together, monogamous couples, and it's like, it's not about not being turned on by other women. It's how you do this energetic work or use your sexual turn on towards her for yourself. And I give my men this incredible practice, and this is to do with the microcosmic orbit, which is, one of the practices you use to move your sexual energy from your cock through your body. So I get men to go out into, and it's in my program, by the way, but that particular breath work, it's actually a lot easier than a lot of men think. So I get them to go to the supermarket or somewhere, especially during the day, because, it's like it's arbitrary type thing. And so then, they might see a beautiful woman, let's say in the fruit and veg section, she's looking at lemons or whatever, and you're standing behind her. Now, we as women know if anyone's ogling at us, or we can feel this like unbridled sexual energy that doesn't feel clean, and so we don't want to turn around and we brace ourselves, like we go into like and move off. So I get men to look at her, be aroused by her, but do the microcosmic orbit, like use your breath, bring your energy back into your up. 9.999% of the time, every single client goes, she fucking turned around. She turned around. And she kind of looked around and I smiled at her and she smiled back. I'm like, yeah, you're safe, erotically safe. You've got this turn on towards her. You get to use it in your body. And so we lean open into intrigue and safety. Now go and, I don't know, create business with it. Go and do a deal. Go and sell a house. Go and do things. That's the whole thing.
Take it in your workout. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Take it to your workout. I mean, penis Prozac, if you're in a relationship, and like say you do ejaculate, because you don't want to be ejaculating all the time, but you and your lover have worked out the best, for a woman to drink a shot of ejaculate after a workout, like that's a bomb. That's fuck the smoothie.
Well, I love the scenario that you just put us in. We're in the fruit and vegetable section and we're that woman. And think about how many times in your entire life has that happened to you where a man just sort of like smiled and honored your existence, and you're like, oh, he thinks I'm hot. And that was it. And it was just this clean, beautiful exchange of energy that you got to like walk out a little taller versus the kind of creepy ooh energy that where you're like, God, I hope I'm safe. Like I hope this person doesn't follow me to my car. And how many more
Mhm.
exchanges can we create where we're just like, I'm just going to appreciate how great you look today. You don't say that, but your energy says it. And then
Energy
we all get
says
to walk
that.
out better. Mm-hmm.
Well, this is also too when we look at the construct of vilifying sexual energy and sexuality, and also vilifying women for being beautiful or for showing up, like the vilification of that, where it's dangerous. So therefore, we don't teach men how to handle. It's always about what she's wearing, not about, handle your sexual energy. Um, in relationships, where now we close ourselves off. And this is not about polyamory, well, polysexual. So this is not about being polysexual. It's there are 8 billion humans walking around on the planet. This whole thing, I'm going to find the one and that's it. I mean, it's even insane when you say that stuff out loud. Awesome, you're going to find someone to go on this journey, but I tell you, you've still got fucking eyes. And beauty is like, skin deep. And there's nothing wrong. Like when you're looking at someone else, it's like it's more than skin deep, sorry, but like the beauty you are witnessing is that skin deep beauty because you're a human, and to acknowledge it and appreciate it. It's like we appreciate, oh my God, we appreciate flowers. You don't like have a favorite flower like a frangipani and then you ignore the roses. Oh, I can't look at that rose bush because I've told my family that I love frangipanis. Don't put a rose in front of me, I'll be tempted. Do you know, it's like you like dogs, you can have your own dog. You go to the dog park with your dog that you love and adore. Up comes this other dog. Like, oh, I can't touch it. I can't appreciate that dog because I have a dog. I mean, for fuck's sake.
It's
And
pretty crazy.
isn't it? Yeah, it's like everywhere else in the world, we appreciate and we respect and we honor. And hopefully, we verbally allow people to hear how we appreciate them and how we love them. It is the same with strangers and women and men. And I have this most incredible experience. So I close my eyes, I'm going to put myself back when I did it, and I can fucking well cry every time I speak about this because of what I felt from this man when I gave this. I mean, it's actually very simple, and I'm giving it this incredible flowery moment, but it was a girlfriend of mine from Australia visited me in Vancouver, and we're going to this fantastic, vintage store. That was our day, chocolate and vintage store. And we came up out of the subway or out of the underground, up in, and walking towards me was this fucking beautiful man. The way that he was walking, the energy around him as well. Like, he had dark hair and he had a dark beard, but how he was dressed, that I stopped. Jaw dropped open. And he's walking, and I was just, and he actually, because he was coming, like I sort of stopped in front of him. So I stopped, and then I closed my jaw and I stopped and I held my hands open. And he kind of stopped, like, and he said, "Are you okay?" I said, "You are so beautiful." I said, "The way you're dressed is awesome." I said, "But you're stunning." Like the way he didn't know what to do, as in like, not that he was uncomfortable. He just said, he goes, "No one's ever told me that before." And I'm looking at this fucking specimen going, Vancouver all over. Sorry, I just have to say that out loud. I really struggled living in Vancouver because no one flirted, just like New Zealand, no one flirted.
Mm-hmm.
And so this guy, he would have been in his 30s. I said, "How the fuck have you got?" And I remember this, like, you are meticulously dressed, which you take a lot of effort. And you obviously work really hard to make him out your money to actually dress like that. So there's a lot going on here. His beard, all of that effort, and no one appreciates it. It crushed me. It's just, and that is that part of work that's going, men don't get appreciated. Like where the women, the super, "Oh, you look beautiful today. Oh, you look beautiful today." And from that day on, I was never shy. When I say never, for years I had not been shy, but it is whenever I see, I've even been with my lovers walking down the street and I'll see a guy like, "Oh my God, man, wow, you look fucking awesome. I hope there's a woman at the end of this walk appreciating you." I'll do it with my lover. And my lover always gets appreciated, and how of which I know we would you would do as well. It's like this constant appreciation. But that's the thing, is like, how much effort does it take to get out of the house when you're doing your hair? It takes a long time. Why do you want to walk down the street silent?
Yeah, and
I
I
want
think the sidestep
to.
conversation to this too is like allowing yourself and your partners and them allowing themselves and their partner, right? To give that appreciation. If it is to like the server at the restaurant or the person that you're passing or whoever.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we're so weird in this culture around like he's mine or she's mine, and nobody can look at each other, and we can't say the things that we want to say because it's wrong because we're married and monogamous. And like, I know this is like an open relationship podcast, but I'm sure everyone is shaking their head like, God, I understand. It's so crazy. Can't we
Yeah.
just be nice and appreciate the beauty in everybody?
Because we have diminished sex and sexuality, we've now placed sex into everything because it's got nowhere else to be. So it's everywhere. So that if you think of that comment of like, oh, wow, like if you're with your partner in a very vanilla monogamous type scenario that is contracted, yeah, like the people are contracted and they're living in fear about what does everything mean. So the quintessential comment of a man like looking at a woman and saying, oh, she's beautiful. And the wife that feels really like, oh, does that mean you want to fuck her? No, it doesn't mean that. But how many times does that get said?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, huh? It's like if you're eating an orange, it's going, does that mean you're not going to eat apples anymore? No. I love drawing these really line, well, that's what that means.
Okay, talk to us about sexual currency because I feel like we're
Oh,
kind of in that vibe right now.
yes, it's interesting. I was just thinking about that because this is also humanity currency just then of like, giving compliments to other people. It's like how
Mhm.
we're built for connection. So when I talk about sexual currency, using the word sexual because sex is how we satiate our desire to be seen, our desire to be held, our desire to be acknowledged, our desire to be received, our desire to be fucked open, our desire to eat food in a certain way, a desire, all of our desires. Sex is the way that we, satiate our desires. But sexual currency in a relationship, probably if I was to use the word your intimate currency, it may make more sense. And so we're going to call it intimate currency. So first of all, I'm going to draw a picture of like a bank account and a family scenario. So if you are consistently contributing into a bank account weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, whatever it is, for your life to be looked after. So that's where the bills come out of your bank account, where your bills come out of, your grocery shopping comes out of, all of the stuff. And so then the car breaks down and okay, it's got to go, it gets towed and whatever, the chassis, whatever, something needs changing. And you've got currency in your bank and you pay it and you continue on with your life. If you have no currency in that in a bank account and you use your car to get to work and there's the car breaks down for whatever reason and there's no way of fixing that, there's no way of moving forward with that, then it's shock, it's horror, it's panic, it's cortisol, it's how am I going to get to work now, how am I going to do when am I going to get this fixed, and I've got rent to pay. So it's the lack of currency. So now if we're looking at our intimate relationship and we look at currency in our intimate relationship, and so let's also first draw to the fact of, if couples haven't connected for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, hasn't been any sex, like, the relationship that's not having enough sex or intimacy. And often is where the guys, where women will often report, it's like, well, the guy's like, touches her on the shoulder or something, who wants to have sex that night because they haven't had sex for ages. So he's going for the sex. And then there's a rejection, and she's not rejecting the sex, she's rejecting how it's come to her. And that's a lot of misunderstanding when I work with clients. It's like, well, she doesn't want to have sex with them. So she actually does, but there's no
Desperately.
space.
Yeah.
Desperately, that's all she ever fucking thought about for years until, So the currency is what are we placing into the bank of the relationship that holds the connection and knits the two of you and your energies together. So this is where love languages come in. This is where what you both need from each other, what you both love from each other, what you both want from each other. So, and this is also tethering everything to, how do we use, I was just, like this thing is one of the most sexiest devices if we use it properly, as in, that's And another thing of like, I, you know, when I thought of the question of the last podcast is like, are you still masturbating when you're 14? It's like, how differently are you speaking to and touching and acknowledging your lover, your partner that signed a fucking mortgage with you, as opposed to everything else? Like you go and get your groceries, you go and get your car filled up, and oh, you guys don't have service up there anymore, do you? Like here in Mexico, you don't hop out of your car, you sit in your car and someone comes and does your oil, your windows, they fill up your car with petrol, with gas, all of that stuff. Anywhere you go, like you go through the grocery store and like you will go to the checkout and actually have conversations with someone, and then there's someone packing your bag for you still, all of that stuff, like all of this service. So it's like, how do you talk to those people? And if you're organizing your waxing appointment or your whatever appointment, and then how do you speak to your lover? Hey babe, what's for dinner tonight? Hey babe, I'm coming home from work, is there anything you want me to pick up? Yeah, I mean, that is, you know,
And we're all so guilty of it.
yeah, we all are. I mean, you know, definitely. It's like it's the facts, and it's, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, it's the practicality of life. So we too quickly and too easily allow the constantness of life to then deplete. So, you know, when we get together with someone, they're our top priority. Would you know when they said yes to you? When you were their top priority? And when they were your top priority, that's when they said yes. And then we look at marriage, 10 years, 20 years. So you said yes up here. 8 years, 10 years, 5 years, 3 years later, you're down here. Everything else there's all of these things above you. And all of these things above exist because of this yes. The house, the children, the businesses, the second fucking car, the holidays you're going on. Why the fuck do you think all of that's happening? Because of this yes of the top priority. And now you're each other's bottom priority, even the way that you bloody well speak to each other. When was the last time that you sent flowers to I could cry because I can feel like it's this collective, it's the absolute collective depletion of life that we're expected to exist in, and it's cortisol driven, and we live in trauma-based existence in this secular way of having to live. So when we look at sexual currency, you know, it's like if you made love the night before or even 2 nights before. So anyone listening, I want you to tether back. All of the men that are listening, I really ask you to do this right now. The last time that you made love or you fucked your woman, send her a message right now and tell her that you were just thinking about her, how her face looked, how her pussy smelled, how she tasted 2 nights ago. I was just thinking about how you fucking tasted 2 nights ago. And it's one of the most exquisite things, or whatever. You find your words, but tether to it. Let her know that you're thinking about how fucking sexy she is. If she walked out of the house today in a pair of jeans, you say, oh my God, babe, I was sitting at our kitchen table watching you leave the house, and fuck, the side of your ass is still in my mind. Do not text her and say, do we need milk? Fucking sort it out if you need milk. Just get milk anyway. Don't ask if you need it. Like, seriously, who gives a shit if there's an extra carton of milk in the fridge? Who gives a shit? Just put the extra carton of milk in the fridge. Don't ask if you need it. Tell her how gorgeous her ass is. Tell her that what it's like to kiss her. Tell her that you're about to come home in 10 minutes and that you require that she's off the, whatever. It's like, babe, I'm coming home in 10 minutes and you better be ready. I'm going to kiss you like it was the first time we kissed. Fucking do it. Or don't be surprised if in 5 more years you're in divorce courts again. Like, seriously, what are divorce courts about? I'm not seen anymore. I'm not heard anymore. I'm not noticed anymore. You don't love me. Intimate currency is this. So now So if you have this intimate currency, of course you're going to have to speak about dinners. Of course you're going to have to speak about picking up the kids. But if that is all that you are fucking talking about, and that is 80% of your communication with your lover, it's not okay. Because she's your lover. He's your lover. You have said yes to each other. And that yes creates the safety for the rest of life. But the rest of life, if that is what's taking up your life, you've got a housemate. Go on Craigslist and say wanted. Person to be depleted, exhausted, bored shitless, do all of their errands, go into debt with me. Who wants in? Don't worry, we don't have to sex because we're not going to have much sex once we just keep on doing all of that. Like seriously. I know that's arbitrary and it feels a bit harsh, but Jesus Christ, that's how the majority of people are living.
It is, it's true. I think it's because we don't have someone like you in our 20s going like, this is what you do. This is how you stay together with somebody, or like, this is how you relationship. And I don't know if it's because we pattern our lives after our parents and that's what we see them do, or this is
well, we can only get more of what
innate.
we know. Yes. Yeah.
Maybe because we're so fucking selfish, this is an innate thing. And we have to like really be aware that we have a partner who has needs.
Well, I know I would go back to the modeling. We can only get more of what we know, and our subconscious creates all of our decisions. 80% of our brain is the subconscious. We believe, I'm making me think. You're not. This is 20% and this is out of control. It's like the teenager, It's like, I'm just like, The subconscious, which is set up from 0 to 7, 7 to 14, is what you're operating from. Now, the subconscious doesn't know the difference between make believe and truth, because when we look at attachment styles, when we look at our beliefs about something, because of how we're raised, we're not in that house anymore. We're not receiving that violence. We're not having our father walk out of the door when we're 3, but we're still going into relationships with that truth. So we're not in it. Our subconscious is making the decision that that's what's going to happen. That's, why do I always attract the same type of partner? Why do I always attract the same type of business partner? Why does this keep on happening to me? And that was set up in the first 14 years, even up to 21, but we've got these pivotal time frames in the primal brain. So when we're looking at, what was modeled from our parents, God, I'm really in this deeply with myself at the moment of like the modeling of, men that are not available, even though I have these incredible lover ships. One lives on a boat, one lives in DC. I'm like, every man I choose that is just like, that I'm so in, is like, do you think they fucking live here? No. They're unavailable. They're available through text and wording and all of this stuff and adoration and possibility. But at this point of time, because I'm shifting and moving, there's no way in hell I'm going to choose a man that lives next door. That means he's available. Do you mean that's my subconscious, It's like, you say, oh, I'd love to date a man in town. It's like my subconscious is like, that's not happening.
We don't want available men.
We don't know how to deal with that because we weren't raised with that. I grew up, my mum and dad are still together, but my dad wasn't I had to act. That's before, when we're talking about the tomboy stuff, I was hunting, I was skinning animals, I was fishing, I was, doing all this stuff before I was at my 13th birthday. I became a vegetarian mid fucking hunt. I had a huge spiritual awakening on my 13th birthday. Can I paint the picture? Because this is hilarious.
Yeah.
So, and this is the Australian culture. We used to bunny bash for sports. Literally what I just said is what it is. So what my father would do is he would shoot a bullet over the head of a rabbit. I'm sorry, I'm going to say, and so that it would go deaf, momentary deaf, and it would stop. So then we as kids would jump out of the Jeep and go, and then this is the sport, and go and bash it to death. So I'm having a birthday party, and that's what we're doing. I have the 2 of my male friends, one, Nicholas, I can't remember his last name, the only gay, boy in the school. He's like, I loved it. And another friend, oh my God, I can see his face. I can't remember his name. He ended up, also big, but he's this incredible designer in Australia. So they're my 2 male representatives and 2 female friends and me. Like, this is our bunch, hunting, bunny bashing.
Oh my God.
And I think there'd been 2 or 3 rabbits that we had done. And I had this lightning bolt through my body and I felt like vomiting. And I went, what the fuck am I doing? What the fuck are we doing? And so, and I'm, man, don't be silly. Like I said something to my dad and he just like, oh, Freddie, don't be silly. So then I came up with a plan. This is how quick I came up with a plan. I went, yeah, you're right. So next time he did the bullet across the thing, I ran as hell. I was a field hockey player, sprinted and jumped on the rabbit so no one could kill it. And I did it 3 times. My father said, you can get it home. We're not doing it. I went, awesome plan. And I aborted the mission. I became a vegetarian. How did that come up? That's my tomboy stuff. Like,
which is so funny because you're so feminine. Like out of all the women in the whole world, I would never guess this is you.
Well, that was my big healing of like, I didn't trust women. Because women, you couldn't trust them. All of this competition, the huge thing around the church, like, all of that stuff. I won't go into all of that. It's another podcast. But that's been my big healing is to come into, I didn't wear lipstick till I was 24. It was a big thing to start wearing lipstick because I was such a tomboy and fuck that. And I couldn't trust women. So I didn't want to be anything. And then to be wearing dresses and then to be wearing pink. Do you know how long it took me to wear pink? I thought wearing pink was weak, So yeah. So thank you. I'm glad it's worked. I'm glad all of my healing has worked.
No more bunny bashing. Yeah. Oh my God.
So getting back to sexual, because that was like the subconscious. So yeah, it's like the only way to have attention from my father was I had to be like a boy. And I had to be in his world, which is the hunting and the fishing world and all of that stuff. And I was fucking plowing fields at the age of 8. Because that's how I could hang out with my dad as I would work on the farm. Mm-hmm. So that subconscious, like, well, the man's not available for me as a woman, got to go into his world. And then anything I did, like I played a lot. I played field hockey, I played netball, I played tennis. My dad would never come, the farm always came first. So he would never come and watch me play. He'd never come to my plays at school and stuff like that because he had farm work to do. So that unavailability is like he's busy and his work's more important than me. And so that's looking at that subconscious. So the subconscious of how we're raised by our parents, if we don't see our parents nourishing one another and having beautiful communication containers and, a father, if your father's not buying gifts or really just dropping in with the woman and making space for the woman in her cycle, you're not going to do that in your relationship. We have to learn it. And then even if we learn it, we have to consistently contribute to the unlearning of what is normal. We always get told, oh, it's normal not to have sex after 2 years in a relationship. Oh, that's normal. The desire fades and all of these things like, well, that's just adrenaline. That's just all of that stuff at the beginning. That's lust. Once you're in a relationship, it's normal that you're not going to have sex that much. Bullshit. That's some bullshit there. It's not normal.
Go move to Australia or New Zealand. You'll be fine.
Yeah, just stay away from the South. Stay away from the South. Yes.
Okay, so we talked about sexual currency. How does this move us into this idea of if you want to create something, manifest something, grow your income, have more sex? How does that lead us into that conversation?
Oh, well, also too, just, if you have really good juicy sexual currency, because this is also too, sexual currency and connection, especially looking in a heterosexual relationship, you're not speaking to your woman like that to have sex. Because a woman receiving that, sometimes it depends, you've got to have great conversations. It's like you're doing that to maintain the juiciness. It will lead to sex, but one thing is to understand that if a man, if your beloved or your lover is sending you these sexy texts, it's like you're not required to go home and fuck him. Of course, every time you're going to want to, and at time it's like, I'm having coffee at this cafe, meet me in the fucking bathroom. Like, I'm around from your office. Like, this sexual currency builds the openness. So this is also too, where the more sex that you're having, the more arousal there is in your own body and in your relationship, the more money that you're going to draw in. Because if you understand that, sex, creative energy is sexual energy and money is creative energy as well. Like it's all creation. The more money that you have, the more that you can create. Well, the more sex that you have, it's creative energy. So the sexual currency will raise things up a level, and then you get into ritual, you get into ceremony. We've also lost all of this in our culture. So like ceremony in our current narrative around religion is you go to a different house, you go to this thing that's been built by community. That's where you're allowed to, like, you pray and you go there, as opposed to your ritual and your ceremony is to be in your household, to be in your relationship. So sex is also a ceremony. Now, ceremony doesn't mean that it's all just like pious and dressed in white. That is one part of it. You can be dressed in black. You can fuck to high heavens, and that's a ceremony, because what energy you're bringing in. So your sex magic, and this is where a man lasting, this is why it's so important for a man to last longer, because if he's expelling, he's depleting his power, but he's also depleting his magic, and you're depleting your money. Now, guys are going, what the fuck is she talking about? Napoleon Hill in the 1940s wrote a book called Think Big, Grow Rich, or Think and Grow Rich, Think Big and Grow Rich, something like that. You can read that book, and if you're not attuned to sexuality and sexual energy, you miss it. I've had guys going, that's not in that book. Throughout the whole book, he bangs on about sexual transmutation. He won't shut up about it. Because if you want to make more money, you got to stop ejaculating. He says it in this book to men. But because he wrote in the 1940s, and the language, it's like you don't pick up on it if you're not attuned to it. So there's actually a PDF somewhere with the 13 passages of Napoleon Hill where he talks about sexual transmutation in his book, Think Big and Grow Rich. And that is a book for big business. It's one of the Bibles for me. Like, yeah. Guess what? He's talking about fucking. He's talking about sex.
We're gonna have to find this list of the 13 passages.
I'll send it to you. I have access to all of it. Also, I'm using it all the time in my writings. But mainly he's talking about a man masturbating and self-pleasuring and using his sexual energy up in his core, and this is sex magic. So if you'd not dispel it out as a waste product, you hold it in your body, and that's that thing of like, what is a man going to do with his sexual energy? Instead of dispelling it and having to go to a woman to use it in your body, and it's the law of more. So you can do that in your own masturbation practice, where you're practicing to last longer, and edging and building your pleasure zone, all of that stuff, and raising, when I was talking about the microcosmic orbit and all of the breast stuff that I teach men, and the biohacking, there's you've got to hack your arousal. There's 3 very common ways that men what their body does, and I teach them how to hack that so that they don't go to ejaculation. You can hack your ejaculation, all in my program. It's so much fun. And so when you have got that energy in your body, and when you're masturbating, when you're self-pleasuring, you think about what you want. You can even have a vision board where it's up there and you're looking at it, but it's not, because of the arousal is excitement. So if you want a big fuck off house on this coastline, or you want your Ferrari, or you want to go to, you want to go somewhere for, a holiday with your beloved, that's excitement. So it's like, oh God, yeah, when you're with your woman and you're talking about it, oh yeah, my God, look this, oh, we should stay there. What's happening? There's tingle, you're excited, you're like, it's not flat. So when you're self-pleasuring, what's that? That's arousal. It's exciting. So you're aroused by your vision. You're aroused in your self-pleasure. So it's actually, when we look at the subconscious, when we understand the subconscious doesn't understand language. It understands smell, feeling, sound, smell, all of that stuff. And tantra speaks about this. So sex magic is about the 5 senses. What does something sound like? What does something smell like? What does something feel like? What does something taste like? What does something look like? Doesn't say what does it look like, written in words. It's like, so those 5 sense reality. So then if we, tether that to, well, when you're aroused, you're excited. So think about the things, have the things in you, like the vision of the house, the vision of the relationship, the vision of where you want to go on holiday, that's, and it raised in your body. So that's on your own, but you do that also with the partner. You have an altar, and as in you place it on there, you both think about that when you're making love and when you're about to orgasm. You both think about it, about your shared vision that you had, because you're in excitement, you're in turn on to it. And if when you're making love for longer than you normally would by practicing these practices, there's no shame. I'm not here shaming ejaculation at all. Let's use it exquisitely. So yes, you ejaculate, and maybe if you ejaculate inside of your woman, so her vagina is going to absorb that nourishment. nourishment, through the tissues of the vagina. The ejaculate gets absorbed. And so what's absorbed into her vagina is the shared vision as well. And it's, fuck, it just goes on and on and on.
So
That's
yummy.
how powerful we are. That's what the tantric temples were about. Well, you got to get rid of that shit because we need to pay tax, and you need to be tethered to a boss, and you need to be tethered to, like, when I say, of course, we all have people we work for, whatever that looks like. But if we look at our cultural narrative of the patriarch and how we work, it's so basic compared to what we used to do. And so this is the radical revolution, lovers. I mean, fuck, I'm a revolutionist and I'm a social disruptor. And this is how I'm doing.
Definitely. I mean, like, I'm sitting here through this whole thing, and especially if you're a man, because I know that's your core audience, although I know you also work with women, I'm thinking, like, how do I get more of you? Like, is there some sort of community? Like, should I just follow your Instagram and like go figure out all the podcasts that you've been on? Like, because
No, get into my Substack. Well, first of all, get into my Substack. That's where I write.
Very good. Yeah, I do read your writings.
Oh, do you?
They're
Wait
really
till what's
good.
coming out tomorrow. I released it on Facebook first, and it got, and I went, okay, I'm going to release it tomorromy.
They're all really juicy, in case anybody's asking or wants to know. Like,
Oh,
they're
fuck yeah,
not
it
safe for work. Fantastic to read at home.
Oh my God, I've
Or in
had
the
someone
bathroom.
write to me before that going, Jesus, Melissa, it's like, do you realize, like, oh my God, I'm so, like, he's like, I love you fucking way, but Jesus Christ, like, I open, like, someone walks behind me and I've got my email things in the titles of your email. I went,
Same.
sorry, not sorry. I mean, what the fuck? They can
I'm
get
on
some
client calls and I have to like get in my email box and I'm like, oh shit, she just sent an email again. Yay.
What was today's? Soft, squishy cock. Yum.
It was about soft cock. It was fantastic. Okay. So outside of Substack, obviously you're on, all the socials. So I'll connect your stuff below. You also have a program for men called Man in Control, How to Last Longer, which ties into today's conversation. Do you want to talk about that for just a minute? And I'll put the link below.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Yes. So this program is like the no bullshit, practical, also juicy, of course. I'm not saying it's dry, because I've had this huge program called Occupy Your Cock that I get all of my private one-on-one clients into. So this Man in Control is like, do you want all of the practical steps, into this program? There's about 8 practical videos and of course some few extras, and I just added it to the other day as well. I'm like, oh, I want them to have this, some great PDFs. But what it is just the practical guide on the different breaths to use, the way to build your pleasure zone, and how to understand your PNR, which is your point of no return, and how to hack. Oh, and also too, there's a whole module on lengthening and strengthening your cock, which is all about blood flow. So when we look at, there's a lot of penis pumps around, and there's actually one incredible penis pump, by Dr. Joe Kaplan. It's all about blood flow. And the Daoists have been teaching that for fucking centuries, So yes, I understand the whole thing of like making a contraption and, the way our culture is, but man, I've been teaching that shit for years. And so how to truly occupy your cock, you can grow it because it's about blood flow. It's about it's skin. So I explain it all, and it's just exercise. It's gym for your cock. So Man in Control is gym for your cock. That's going to make your woman so fucking happy.
That was my mic drop. I mean, who even needs to say anything else?
Maybe I should change the title. Gym for your cock.
God, that's amazing. Okay, well, I'm sure we have lots of really excited men listening to this going, okay, I'm ready to sign up. You guys just go into the notes section, go ahead and connect with Melissa Louise, check out this amazing Man in Control gym for your cock.
Oh, do you know what I've just realized is it is a juicy, cheeky little upsell, but the upsell inside of there is me guiding you with my voice on how to self-pleasure, when you're allowed to shift up the stroke, when you need to slow down. And then I let you know when you're allowed to ejaculate.
So my God. Dominatrix in the house. Which sounds like a great exercise, actually. You're like, honey, I'm just working out over here.
I just saw a guy going, I'm just about to go to the garage. I'm like, oh, just make it your den. Like, have some plushness in the garage. You can see men like sexing up their garage. It's like, I've got a new kind of gym. Yes, it is a leather couch. with a mirror and black walls. Yeah, this is my new kind of gym.
Yes. And it was so funny because I think episode 190, the Still Fucking Like You're 16, we opened it by talking about men like secretly hiding in the bathroom and they're like, and you're like, oh no, spread out in the living room. I mean, maybe don't let the kids be there, but get a quiet house, find a beautiful
That's
place
why we
inside
need
your house.
land with several houses. Yes, kids, you're fine.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was so much fun. I mean, every time you come on, it's just like, I mean, I'm not even a guy and I'm like, I want to be in your presence forever, every day, because it makes me feel juicy to listen to you. And it makes me want to be a better wife and lover to my husband and other partners that we have. So thank you. Thank you for
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's so my pleasure.
All right. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Open Bedroom Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and give us a like and click subscribe below and stay up to date on all the new episodes that we release. If you have a topic that you'd really like more information on, leave us a comment below and we'll see what we can do. Feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and especially your partners. This is a great way to open up some amazing conversations. We'll see you next week.